Thank you, Count Corla. And obviously, we're pushing forward with our amendments. They're of huge importance to the people we represent. I've spoken at length already in relation to our amendments and other amendments, in fairness, that we give serious consideration to. Very, very disappointed that the 238 as amendments have been rejected, including our 75. And Minister, our amendments are very fair, and some I wouldn't mind if you rejected some of them. That's understandable, and that's fair. But you know, when you look at one of the amendments being 0% rate on insulation products, I mean that's what you should be trying to achieve in this country, to encourage people to go out and insulate their homes and make their homes safer, warmer. So they won't be using the fuel and won't be using the home heating oil or the coal or the briquettes. You can't get them anywhere. You have to go to Germany, bring them in from Germany to get some of them products. But anyway, that's another legacy of the Green Party. And what I'm saying is, you had an opportunity, and you surely must have looked at these and just said to yourself, how could you turn around and say, I am not going to support any of the rural independent amendments? I would have been very fair if you sat down and said, I don't support a 0%, but I certainly will cut it from 23% down to 5 or 6 or 7%. But there wasn't a budge. In your head, our amendments were not to be supported, no matter what we put before the people, and the 2-year wait and the warmer homes situation, that has to be addressed seriously. And we felt the climate action bill should have addressed this. I have people all over my own constituency fierce upset that they can't qualify, and even if they do qualify, the criteria is set so high and it's impossible to qualify. But even if they do qualify, nobody comes to insulate their home in 2 years of waiting. And as I said, you know, other amendments, of course, that we will not get a chance to discuss here tonight too, which is very, very unfortunate, is the agricultural sector. And I spoke to you that, you know, experts out there have been saying that we're going to face a 50% cull, and I mentioned about the former chair of the Climate Action Group, John Fitzgerald, saying that that's the only way that we're going to meet the targets that you're setting, is that there's going to be a dramatic reduction in the livestock numbers, and they were talking about 3.4 million in cattle by 2030. It was their proposals before that. And I looked at, you know, we're looking now, and as I said earlier, New Zealand is looking at a 15% cull in their cattle, which is it's a disaster for the people in New Zealand. But we have to only look after the people of Ireland, and you know, we're talking about, you know, creating new schemes, and we're talking about, you know, the new REP scheme that's out at the moment. Disqualifies, even though it's a pilot scheme, it disqualifies people who have shrub in their land, and it's a disaster to think that that's now, you know, after people thinking that the Green Party is in government, that would be a protection for them, but it wasn't. And the organic scheme that's there, so many people come in here, and I know they're not from an agricultural background, because I know by listening to them, they're on about new environmental schemes and new this, and as I said, there's an organic scheme out there, and you fail to do anything in relation to that organic scheme. You know, people are finding it very, very difficult, and we, you know, speaking to the amendment, people are finding it very, very difficult to pay bills and put food on their table, Minister. And I more and more people are coming before me. You know, my clinics over the weekend, I meet people and I talk to people on the phone, and they're struggling severely for their very survival, and they don't see any way out, and I don't see a way out here. I don't see people. I see more difficulties for the people of rural Ireland in this whole climate action bill. And you know, we also, as part of our amendments, we had the tourism sector. We were very concerned, because if there's any increase in aviation fuel and the cost there, and it will lead to damaging the tourism sector in West Cork. And I certainly, we've seen a lot of difficulties due to COVID, and we can't accept that that's going to be the case. So I want to protect areas like Clonakilty and down into Mizenhead and up to Castleton and down into Kinsale, beautiful places, Skibbereen and Bantry, for people to visit, and Kilcrehan and places like that. And we need to encourage tourism and not discourage tourism. And that's something that was a very serious amendment that we wanted to put in place. But also then there was very good amendments like public transport. Like if I wanted to be up here at 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning to a meeting in Dublin, I'd be lucky to make it 11 or 12 o'clock the next day. I'd have to leave a previous day. And that's the system we have at the moment, where we don't have a public transport in place. Minister, I don't see in the Climate Action Bill where that's going to change in rural Ireland. If it doesn't change, it's catastrophic, because you're supporting the increase of fuels and get support here from Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael for the carbon tax and whatever, and that carbon tax only hit one person in the pocket, and that was the people out of rural Ireland. There was no solution as such. So there's no gain, even the Greenway funding, whatever, that sprinkled around the country, and it avoided coming into West Cork and plunged into it. But what I'm trying to say is that if you want to raise fuels and carbon tax, and you want to hit the consumer in the pocket, you have to deliver something for them. You have to give people public transport. You have to look at, and these are all included in our amendments. So that there's no unfairness here. We were very fair to put our amendments in here before you, to make sure that you have to look at maybe a 1 km limit for children. Anyone from 1 km or over would get free transport to school. And we need a proper public transport in place. And I know West Cork Connect there, is it Damien Long's business, he's trying to provide a service from West Cork in the early morning and to all the way up to Cork to interlink with trains or whatever. We need proper services funded properly. And if that's not happening on the ground, we cannot, and we're putting in amendments here to make sure this happens, and you refusing to take our amendments, we certainly will continue here to fight the case for the ordinary people that are suffering very much. Thank you.